What up? It's your good brother Talib, and we back with another episode of Behind the Process. Today, I'm with my man Gyasi Adams. What's good, fam?
I'm doing great.
I heard you got big news going on right now.
That's the plan. We're working on some things.
You want to touch on it a little bit, or you want
to? Working on closing on the first business. Hopefully that gets done in the next 2 months.
Okay. Congrats on that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You doing your thing out here. But today we are here to talk about what you were doing before. Well, I guess what came into that position, right? So, what did you used to do prior to getting into the new business?
So I started my career as a recruiter.
Okay, recruiter. When we say recruiter, people think military, but that's not what we're talking about today. So what we do on the show is we tell people about different career paths that people usually don't think about, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you're a recruiter, but it's also called a headhunter?
Yeah, they got recruiter, headhunter, talent acquisition. There's a few different names for what we do. It's all the same.
All the same thing? Okay. So what are you looking for when you go out there? Actually, no, don't even go there yet. How did you even get into that? Because a person has your job is to get people jobs, right?
Yes.
All right, so that's not nothing that people think about on a regular basis. You know what I mean? So how did you fall into that?
I got into it by accident, like most recruiters. I was looking for work as soon as I got out of school. I was having some difficulty, and really I just started reaching out to different alumni from the school. So that led me into having a deep conversation with one of the alumni. He worked at a company that was a few blocks from where I lived in Philly, actually. The name of the company is called Yo, right down near 15th and Spring Garden. And he sat me down and just had a long conversation about what I wanted to do in my career. He opened up the possibility of me being a recruiter. I didn't know you get paid finding people jobs.
Yeah.
So it was a little scary for me because I spent so much of my parents' money doing engineering. And on the other hand, I wanted a job. I wanted to start working. So I thought it was intriguing, and I just dove right in.
Okay. You said you were an alumni. You talked to another alumni. Where are you from?
From Drexel. Okay. So I started out of Hampton, and I moved back home to go to Drexel so I could do the co-op program, get internship experience, and hopefully that could help me get a job. And it didn't quite work out the way I planned.
You're going for engineering. I never knew that either. Okay. You a special type of engineer?
Mechanical engineering technology. So it's just applied engineering. Like I don't like theory. I like to do stuff with my hands.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yep. All right, so you stumble in, the network helped you out, which is relationships are key to everything. So what was the next step?
So after he talked to me, he tried to match up my background to put me in the right type of recruiting. He was like, "You're an engineer, so do technical recruiting." So I just recruited people with technical backgrounds. So the first place that they put me in was working for a medical device company that was in the middle of nowhere. And so it was my first time just getting used to talking to strangers, being able to sell a company, and just being more business development and sales like for my job. And so that's how I got started in life sciences.
All right, so we were talking about this the other day, and I didn't quite wrap my head around it then. I still got my head wrapped around it now. All right, so where are you guys finding these people at? Or like, is the company contacting you guys to try to, to get you guys to staff them, or are you guys just looking out trying to find people to put places?
So just so everybody knows, there's a difference between a staffing agency, a recruiting company, and corporate recruiting.
Okay.
So I got my start in staffing agency, which is what I recommend to most people if they're going to get started. Because when you're a staffing agency, companies come to one place to get all the candidates. So you could be supporting 5 different companies instead of just one. And so, you have access to your tools, so you can go find people, whether that's job boards, LinkedIn, email messaging, and you're just doing cold outreach. You try to understand the job, be able to talk about it. People agree to have their resume submitted, and then you submit them in and represent them as their agent, basically.
Okay. All right, so the first company you said was what type of company? A medical company?
A medical device company.
All right, so how was that one?
So that was interesting because it was more of a smooth sailing because I got to talk to other engineers.
Okay.
So I felt more comfortable because I had the ability to know whether or not they were just talking or if they really knew what they were doing. And it was a little bit easier for me to get a good understanding of like where salaries are at and where I can find these people for a place that was in the middle of nowhere. It was in Warsaw, Indiana, which is there's nothing around it. So that was my first start.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So when you're looking for candidates, right? What are you? How are you finding people? Are people reaching out to to your company, or are you actively looking for people to fit in these roles? Or
so for the most part, with staffing agencies, they're actively getting out there and going to find the people on the job boards, on LinkedIn, just reaching out to 50 to 100 people per couple jobs. When you're in more of a corporate setting, like let's just say I work for Nike or something, and I have a job for a product designer. All those people are applying into me, so I don't really have to go out and go look for people.
Oh, so you just filter through them.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's usually the next transition from a staffing agency into a corporate job, because it's not as much heavy lifting to get people in.
Okay. All right. So what are you looking for when you're trying to get somebody a job?
So for me, I like to find people that aren't necessarily 100% match on paper, but they're 100% match for the job. So I like to read between the lines and really get into finding out if somebody's just more than the words on the paper, if they actually have done similar things in their last company. Because once you start seeing if somebody's performed similar work, now you can go start to find unique places to find people. You're not just going where everybody goes to. So if it's an engineer and he's got to design a heart implant, I want to know, has he worked on similar stuff? Have you worked on stuff that is as difficult? You know, have you worked on hard projects? Have you led a team? So I'm more into like performance-based hiring is what they call it, instead of just resume flipping, which is I see all the words that they gave me, I see the words you gave me. Here you go.
All right. So as a recruiter, how are you getting paid? How does that break down?
So there's a few different ways recruiters get paid. So back to the staffing agency model. So when you're in a staffing agency, depending on where you're working at, you can either get paid 100% commission, just like any sales job, or you can get a base plus commission. That is attractive for somebody who's new in their career, because you're finding people, and if you know how to find the people well, you can make a lot of money doing that. So a lot of recruiters will be making base plus commission. That's like usually standard. As you kind of move out to that and you get your experience, and now you're starting to transition to like a corporate, now you're getting paid usually no commission, but now you're getting bonuses, or now you're getting equity, like, because you're just at one place, they're not going to pay you commission on every person.
Oh, okay. Yep. Oh, so companies actually have people that solely just go out and look for talent.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's what
Yes.
All right. So let's talk numbers real quick, because people love the numbers. You know?
Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
All right. So starting off, what is somebody expecting to make as a recruiter?
So most entry-level recruiters, you're probably going to be looking anywhere between $45,000 up to possibly maybe $55,000 if you got transferable experience. So if you have sales experience, business development, customer service, things that require you to talk to other people and you feel comfortable, you can get a little bit higher, close to that top end.
Okay. And on the high end, people that are out there killing it, like what are some people that you actually seen, like, okay, I seen such and such making such, you know what I mean? Like what kind of numbers you seen before?
I have a friend of mine who was just contracting for Bristol Myers Squibb up in Princeton, and she was about at $97 an hour. And that was like on a low end for her experience. She'd probably get up to about, 105, 110 an hour.
110 an hour.
Yeah.
Wrong career choice out there. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, so how do you move up the corporate ladder? Or how do you know when it's time to move up when you're a recruiter? Like, how do you make these different jumps and stuff like that?
So usually at a staffing agency, most people know it's time for them to leave because they get burnt out. You get tired of making a bunch of phone calls. You get tired of people not showing up to interviews. You get tired of dealing with unresponsive clients, and you waiting. You got all these people waiting. So usually you can feel it, and at some point you'll max out on your salary. For some people, at some places. And then usually some people want to just continue to get more specialized knowledge. So like now you supported all these clients, and now I just want to go deep inside one industry. So let's just say, you know, you like cars and you want to get into automotive industry. Like now you might go work for Ford or General Motors and be a recruiter there. You know, usually you'll get more involved in not just recruiting people, but in why they need to be recruited. So like now you're working with the owners and you understand the strategy, who do they need, why do they need it? Like you're more involved in like the heartbeat of the company. So
who are you talking to directly? If you're from the outside going to work with the company, who are you like building a relationship with at the company?
Anybody that's usually a hiring manager. So you're talking to a lot of managers, people that have director titles. You kind of start getting up to like the C-suite, like CEO, but usually that's not immediate. But you'll definitely be talking to like directors and like senior managers, because you're staffing their departments. You got to figure out what do they need in order to get their job done, and how fast and how quickly can we get these people in.
That's very interesting. Okay, so somebody that is looking for a job, what do they need to look for in a staffing agency or in a headhunter? Like, what should they be looking for if you're on the other side of that coin?
I think first people need to figure out what they want to do and what they want to get out of it. So I think if you want to work for a bunch of different type of companies so you can get experience and kind of figure out like, oh, I like, you know, pharmaceutical, or I like tech, or, you know, you figure out your lane. They say the riches is in the niches. So once you figure out the niche that you want to get into, you can kill it, because people want to know to come to you for that. So you figure that out first. Then you got to kind of have an idea about where you want your earning potential. You know, there might be tighter competition getting to be a company's recruiter. They can pick anybody if they want to. These staffing companies, they can't be as picky because they got a bunch of clients to serve. So you got to figure out what you want and be realistic about what opportunities is out there. But in terms of a staffing agency, you want to find a good commission plan. You want to make sure that there's a work-life balance, because I've been in a situation where there's no work-life balance. And you want to make sure you're working with decent people that you're going to spend all these hours with, and, you know, getting work done or partnering to help get other people on the job. So, you know, that's usually what we look for.
All right. So I'm looking for a job right now. I come to you. What questions should I have in mind for you before I trust you to try to find me the right job?
You always want to ask your recruiter what type of roles have they filled before. You always want to ask them what are some of the clients that they do work with. Sometimes they can answer, sometimes it's confidential, but they should be able to give you enough information where you can read between the lines and know who they're talking about. And then you also want to know how many people have they recently placed in these type of positions at these type of companies. So, you know, you vetting them just like a real estate agent. You know?
Okay. And if you're on the other side, if you're the recruiter, what are you looking for? What are the keys that you're looking for in a potential person that you place somewhere? On paper, I guess.
I want to know that at the very minimum, this is somebody I feel comfortable putting in front of a hiring manager, that they at least can get through the interview and be able to talk about their background, even if I have to help them get to that point.
So you're talking to the person before you're like bringing them to the company?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we both vetted each other the whole entire time. You know, I guess it's the same thing with your child. You want to make sure your child don't get out here and disrespect you like that. No disrespect to other kids, like y'all all good. But you know, you always want to make sure that this person presents well. You know, because if a person presents well, you should be able to get them a job. It's just a matter of you talking with the hiring manager. Now I get to do my part as a recruiter.
Okay. All right. So, tell me a success story that you got. Whether it's somebody that probably was coming from nothing and you got them somewhere, or somebody that's got an amazing job because you helped them position them, or just give me whatever your favorite story is.
I actually just heard from a candidate that I placed when I first started recruiting. He was getting a scientist position right out of school up in Boston, and now he's an associate director at another pharmaceutical company.
Okay.
And so, you know, he reached out, he just checked on me, see how I was doing. He remembered my name, and I might get him up for business.
All right. Last part, right? All right, well, maybe not the last part, but close to the last part. What is something that an industry that's booming right now that people can do? Should somebody that's young that's looking at, they don't know what they want to do, what should they be looking to get into for the next couple years? What industries are booming?
My first advice always is follow the money. Money is going into tech right now, money is going into healthcare right now, and some money is going back into manufacturing, to be totally honest. Doesn't seem like it, but it is. So I would think about those three industries just right off the bat. Everything else.
When you say tech is a very big field. So what kind of jobs are being filled? Like, can you some types of jobs that you're seeing being filled?
So healthcare technology is booming right now because population getting older.
Yeah.
My parents are baby boomers, all of them have needs. So a lot of companies are trying to get modernized. They're trying to make sure they can track patients. They're trying to make sure that they have the latest technology to check on health status of their patients and stuff like that. So healthcare technology is booming.
Okay.
Cybersecurity is also booming right now. I highly recommend cybersecurity right now. Highly.
Why highly?
Because the further we go along, the more data we gotta protect.
Yes.
We're shooting stuff on here right now. We are going digital in our currency. Everything is being digitized, and we need to protect our information. And the U.S. is severely behind in cybersecurity.
Severely.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? What about health field?
And another field that I want to say is always stable is biotech, pharmaceutical, and life sciences.
Okay.
Booming.
Booming. That's just getting on the game. Booming. All right, man. If anybody wants to reach out to you for questions or possibly to get hired for a job, where can they reach you at?
You can send me an email. My email is info@jjssenterprises.com. My website is jjsstechnicalrecruiting.com. Feel free to contact me on LinkedIn, Jerome Adams. See my face. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'll be more than happy to talk.
All right, cool, man. All right, when you get your next deal done, we're gonna come back and we're gonna discuss that. You know what I mean? All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. It was great. Hope y'all got a lot of info out of this, man. See y'all next time.